Happy Monday. Today is May 18th, and it's day 61 of missing my kiddos. I'm kind of bummed that the 60th day happened over the weekend, but anyway, here we are. We are still reading Runaway Ralph. I knew I was going to mess up on that one of these days. By Beverly Cleary. And we're on chapter 5, and it's called The Personal Mowse. And if you look really carefully, it's completely spelled wrong. Ralph's life in the cage was never the same after the arrival of the hamster. Chum was picky about his food and fussy about his housekeeping. One corner of his cage had to be his bathroom, another his sleeping quarters, a third the storehouse for the food he liked. He was forever pushing, shoving, and stomping his cedar shavings. His exercise wheel rasped and creaked whenever he ran, usually while Ralph was trying to nap. He had a particularly irritating way of gnawing noisily at the bars of his cage. "Why do you do that?" asked Ralph. "You can't chew through metal." "I'm not trying to chew through the bars," said Chum. "I'm wearing down my teeth." Ralph was astounded. "Don't you want your teeth?" he asked, thinking how dependent he was upon his own sharp teeth. "If I don't chew something hard, my teeth will grow so long I won't be able to eat," Chum explained impatiently. "I chew the bars because Lan is too dumb to give me anything hard to chew." "Oh," said Ralph, grateful that his teeth did not continue to grow. Chum had another habit that disturbed Ralph. He nipped at Lana whenever she tried to pick him up, like a little bite. "That's not nice," Ralph said one day when he had seen Lana hastily withdraw her hand from her pet's cage. "That's biting the hand that feeds you." "I have rights," said Chum. "If I let Lana pick me up, I never would have any peace. Believe me, I know. I made that mistake of letting her pick me up just once, and when she tried to stuff me into a doll sweater, I knew once was enough." Chum also sat for really long periods of time swinging gently on his wheel and staring with unblinking eyes at nothing at all. "Why do you sit there like that?" asked Ralph, who liked to be busy when he was awake. "I'm thinking," answered Chum. "Thinking about what?" Ralph wanted to know. "I'm a philosopher," said Chum. "I think about life." "Life?" Ralph was puzzled. "What do you mean?" Chum sat staring into space so long that Ralph thought he was never going to answer. Finally, the hamster said, "Take you, for instance. Where do you think you're going to go on that wheel?" "No place, I guess," admitted Ralph. "I never thought much about it." "See what I mean?" said Chum. You run, and you're still in the same old cage." Ralph felt suddenly guilty, as if he had done something wrong, but he wasn't sure what it was. "But I like running on my wheel," he said, feeling that his answer was rather lame. Chum did not bother to reply. He continued to sit, swinging, staring, thinking. Ralph leaped to his wheel and began to run. His paws flew along the wires of the wheel, pushing it faster and faster until he looped the loop. He ran on and on until he began to tire. His paws touched the wires more and more slowly until Ralph coasted to a stop. And then he too sat staring and motionless. Where was he going? No place. That was where he was going. No place at all. With so many people feeding him, he was not even sure who owned him. Perhaps when the camp closed at the end of the summer, he would be turned out to the mercy of Katso and all those kittens. "Drat Chum and his talk about life," thought Ralph crossly. He has spoiled all my fun." Chum had still another habit disturbing to Ralph. Whenever his owner approached him with a bag of sunflower seeds, Chum suddenly appeared to change from a big grouch into an agreeable pet. He climbed to the top of his cage, accepted sunflower seeds one by one, and stuffed them into his cheek pouches. Feeding sunflower seeds to Chum became a daily event in the craft shop. The older campers and some of the counselors gathered around Lana to watch her feed Chum, and as she handed him the seeds, they would count. 14, 15. Ralph watched while Chum's cheek pouches began to bulge. 22, 23. Still, Chum's face stretched. "Show off," thought Ralph. 27, 28. Chum had grown so top-heavy that Ralph was sure he would never make it to 30. 30! 31! Chanted the campers. Chum was having such difficulty hanging on that Ralph scarcely could bear to watch. 33! Those paws were slipping. 34! Chum could no longer support his weight. He fell, boom, to the bottom of his cage with a thump that made Ralph cringe. 34! Shouted Lana, who enjoyed the attention her pet had received from older boys and girls. That's Chum's record. Maybe he'll hit 35 tomorrow, someone said, as the campers lost interest in the hamster and went off to their writing lessons or back to their craft work. Chum got to his feet rather groggily and went to the storehouse corner of his cage, where, by placing his front paws behind his cheek pouches, he pushed the seeds out of his mouth until they lay in a heap at his feet. Sounds gross. Ralph was disapproving of the whole performance. That's quite an act, he remarked. Doesn't it hurt when you fall to the bottom of the cage? Sure it hurts, said Chum, as he pushed out the last sunflower seed, but it's worth it. Just to show off? Asked Ralph. No, dummy, said Chum, from the sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds I don't have to pick out from a lot of alfalfa pellets. I perform, she pays off in sunflower seeds. That's the way it goes. Yeah, but you get hurt, said Ralph. I hate alfalfa pellets, answered Chum simply. Ralph's turn came after lunch when the campers were in the dining hall, singing a song that they obviously enjoyed, but that Ralph found frightening. Bill Grogan's goat was feeling fine, ate 3 shirts right off the line. Garf silently pushed open the screen door, and Ralph leaped from his wheel. Quickly, Garf unlatched the door of his cage and extended a sunflower seed with his fingers. This time he was not singing, but Ralph still did not trust him. Come on, fellow, coaxed Garf. Ralph retreated to the corner of his cage behind his exercise wheel. Maybe next time, whispered Garf, and hurriedly cleaned the cage and refilled the water bottle while the campers sang on. The whistle blew, the train drew nigh. Bill Grogan's goat was soon to die. He gave 3 groans of mortal pain, coughed up the shirts, and flagged the train. Oh, that's a silly song. When the song was finished, the housekeeping for Ralph was completed, and Garf had slipped quickly and silently out the craft shop without even letting the screen door slam or squeak. Ralph stood on his hind legs, holding the bars of his cage with his front paws and wishing that Garf were a different kind of boy. Almost at once, the screen door opened again, and Aunt Jill, with her arm around Garf's shoulders, brought the boy back inside. Sit down, Garf, she said, and sat on a bench beside one of the work tables. Scowling, the boy obeyed. What's the trouble, Garf? Asked Aunt Jill kindly. What does she mean? Ralph wondered. Garf stared at the floor. You know you have been breaking one of the camp rules, said Aunt Jill. Campers are not supposed to come into the craft shop without permission, unless I am here or one of the counselors. Well, that's why he's always in a hurry, thought Ralph. He isn't supposed to be here. He not only likes bloodthirsty songs, he breaks rules. Garf continued to stare at the floor. Is there anything I can do to help? Persisted the camp director. No, said Garf suddenly, because I'm going to run away and nobody's going to stop me. Aunt Jill appeared to take this news calmly, but for some reason, Ralph did not. He felt a shock of excitement. Don't do it, boy, he wanted to squeak. It won't get you anyplace. At the same time, he realized that a boy who wanted to run away was sure to like motorcycles. Maybe he had misunderstood Garf. Maybe Garf liked speed and would know how to make a miniature motorcycle run. Is there someplace you especially want to go? Asked Aunt Jill. No, said Garf, just away. Aunt Jill looked thoughtfully out the back window toward the barn and the riding ring before she turned to Garf and asked, What do you want to do? What do you really want to do? Ralph gripped the bars of his cage and waited for the boy's answer. Catso's paw appeared through the hole in the screen door, but the human beings did not even notice. Ralph watched and listened. The hole in the screen had stretched another half an inch. Garf picked up the scrap of plastic left over from somebody's lanyard and twisted it around his fingers. I can tell you one thing, he burst out. I don't want to braid any dumb lanyards. I've braided lanyards in Cub Scouts. I've braided lanyards at the YMCA. I've braided lanyards in the park during the summer. And I've braided lanyards in the after-school rec program. Nobody needs more than one lanyard. I'm fed up with lanyards. After this outburst, he sat staring at the floor, and when Aunt Jill remained silent, he went on. And I want people to stop feeding my mouse. I caught him. He's my mouse. Oh, that's good, thought Ralph, because if he runs away, he might take me, and then maybe I can escape and find my motorcycle again. I think that can be arranged, said Aunt Jill. You've told me what you don't want to do and what you don't want other people to do, but tell me what you want to do. Ralph could tell from Garf's silence that this request was a difficult one. Aunt Jill seemed to have plenty of time to wait while he thought. Outside the craft shop, some boys were gathering bamboo husks to float in the irrigation ditch. Ralph watched to see if they might uncover his crash helmet and motorcycle, but they did not go to the far side of the bamboo. Well, began Garf and stopped. Aunt Jill waited. So did Ralph, who noticed that Chum was also listening. Garf looked uncomfortable, but still, Aunt Jill waited. Go on, say something, thought Ralph. When Garf finally spoke, he no longer sounded angry. I guess I just want to be alone once in a while, he said. You want to be alone? Repeated Aunt Jill. Yeah, said Garf. At home, I have to share my room with my big brother, who gets the top bunk and keeps his weightlifting stuff all over the floor. And every time I go to our room and shut the door, he comes in and he starts playing those records I don't like. And after school and on Saturdays, it's always Scouts or the Y or supervised recreation in the playground. My mom and dad say city kids have to be kept busy, and then they send me here. So they sent you to camp, said Aunt Jill, encouraging him to go on, and you come into the craft shop to be alone. Yeah, said Garf. I don't like to sit around after meals with a bunch of kids singing You Are My Sunshine. But you come in here and sing about the rabbit banging mice on the head, thought Ralph. I don't like singing with other people, said Garf, because I can't carry a tune. I know I sing funny, and I don't like people turning around and staring at me. Nobody cares whether you can carry a tune or not, said Aunt Jill, but if you don't want to sing, you don't have to. And we all need to be alone sometimes. So here's Garf standing off to the side while the other kids are singing their song. For the first time, Garf looked at the camp director. And I know something that might help, Aunt Jill continued. Do you see that clump of bamboo over there? Anytime you feel like being alone, you may go sit behind the bamboo as long as you wish. Garf looked as if he wanted to believe her. Remember, Garf, said Aunt Jill, it is possible to be alone in your thoughts, even when there are other people around. She rose from the bench where she and the boy had been sitting, and she found a piece of cardboard and a felt pen from the supply shelves. Now, about your mouse. You take this pen, you make a sign saying this is your mouse and no one else is to feed it. I'll sign it and make it official, and we'll tack it up over his cage. Garf did not say anything, but he took the cardboard and the pen and settled down at a table to work. He found a ruler and marked straight lines on the cardboard to guide his printing. He worked a long time, ignoring the lanyard braiders, mosaic makers, and insect collectors who came and went. A few people paused to see what he was printing, but nobody disturbed him. Ralph sat watching quietly as the sign progressed. Sometimes Garf paused to whisper rhymes to himself. My, try, pry. So he's trying to figure out how to spell some words. Pow, how, mow. Read, lead, feed. Then he would go on with his work. He printed a few letters, stared at the ceiling, whispered to himself, and printed a few more letters. Near the end, he held up his work, studied it, and added something more. When at last he had laid down his pen and stood up, Aunt Jill came over to look at his sign. And he spelled some things wrong. Private, keep out. This mouse is the personal property of Garfield R. Jernigan. If you feed him, you will drop dead. Signed, and then she had to sign it. So here's how he spelled everything, and it's just, not the best, but still kind of funny. Aunt Jill signed her name on the dotted line. There, she said, that makes it an official Happy Acres Camp sign. She found 2 thumbtacks, and Garf tacked his sign above Ralph's cage. For the first time, Ralph saw Garf grin. And when the boy left the craft shop, he did not sit behind the bamboo as Ralph had expected. He stopped to watch some campers who were jumping and bouncing on the trampoline under the direction of a counselor. Contented for the moment, Ralph made himself into a little ball in the corner of his cage to enjoy a nap. He was not just any mouse. He was the personal mouse of Garfield R. Jernigan, a boy who wanted to run away. And the next time he was alone with his owner, he would be brave and speak up no matter what dreadful song he sang. And that is the end of our chapter. And darn it, I forgot to grab my list of people that joined me on Zoom this morning, so I'm going to put you guys in the little notes section. I'm sorry, I forgot. I can't remember everybody, and I don't want to leave anyone out. All right, so the next one is called Chapter 6, A Thief in the Craft Shop. Yikes. All right, have a good afternoon. I'll see y'all tomorrow on YouTube. Love you. Bye.